The United States government deliberately decided upon a program of economic castration within the black community. And what that means was they came into Philadelphia, New York City, Baltimore, LA, Houston, all the major black metropolises, and they systematically took out the factory jobs. They systematically began to stop training black men in the skilled labor areas. I don't care how much you teach a child. You could teach them for 12 years. The truth.
Mm-hmm.
Put one image in front of them. And like they say, an image is worth 1,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
An image will condition that mind more than words because everything stored in our memory is stored as an archetype, as a
Yes.
symbol, as a picture. So images are actually the language of the soul and the language of the mind. And whoever controls the images controls the people.
Let's get back to you with the book
Yes,
here,
ma'am.
the
Psychoacademic
psychoacademic
Holocaust.
Holocaust. Like when you wrote this book, and rightfully so, why did you name it that as it relates to all of the work that you've
Excellent
done
question.
in terms of your studies and your
Excellent
research?
question, because the title was the subject of some controversy. Why would he call it psychoacademic Holocaust? Is he exaggerating? And I'm glad you brought up attorney Michelle Alexander because her book on the new Jim Crow
Yes.
chronicles the incarceration machine.
Yes.
My book chronicles the miseducation machine. Well,
Mm.
guess what? You don't even get to her stage if you don't deal with this stage. There would be no mass incarceration problem if there wasn't a miseducation problem. And we got to be very clear about that. If we go back in American history 75, 80 years ago, who were the drug dealers? Who was being locked up? Who was running the gangs? Who was getting drunk in the street? Who was killing each other?
Mhm.
It wasn't African Americans. It was Jewish, Italian, and Irish immigrants. They broke the law because America did not allow them to participate in its opportunity. It wasn't until 1940 that the United States government upgraded Jewish, Irish, and Italian immigrants to white status. Prior to 1940, if you was Jewish, white, or Irish, you were not considered white. You understand? But when they changed the status and made them white,
Mhm.
what they did in a lot of inner city cities, what they did was they gave the Irish the police departments in the African American community. They were disproportionately hired. The Italians were disproportionately hired in the fire departments in the African American community.
The
And
Italians.
European Jews were given the downtown
Mm.
civil service jobs in our municipal
Mm.
government. So, in essence, they were given an economic stimulus package.
Wow.
All black men are doing today
Mhm.
is occupying the exact same crime jobs that were occupied by Jewish, Irish, and Italians. The difference is the government gave them a hand up and
Mhm.
never gave us a hand out. Now, with psychoacademic Holocaust,
Mhm.
I call it a Holocaust because I consider it to be just that. When you look at the murders taking place, the black on black crime, the
Yes.
mass incarceration,
Yes.
I would argue that the mother of all crime is miseducation and the father of all crime is economic castration. For example, what is one of
Mm.
our biggest problems? The breakdown in the black family.
Absolutely.
Most people think slavery destroyed the black family. Slavery did not destroy the black family. We were still married through slavery. You study our ancestors, they kept those families together even under the punishment of death or
Mm.
incarceration. The black family was intact at the end of slavery. It was intact at the end of Reconstruction. It was intact at the end of civil rights. You don't begin to see the rise of the single parented black female home until the 1970s. What happened in the 1970s to cause the disintegration of the black family? I'll tell you.
Tell us.
The United States government deliberately decided upon a program of economic castration within the black community. And what that means was they came into Philadelphia, New York City, Baltimore, LA, Houston, all the major black metropolises, and they systematically took out the factory jobs. They systematically began to stop training black men in the skilled labor areas, electric, plumbing,
Wow.
carpentry. Then they went into the high school. This was the most effective thing that they did.
Mm.
They went into the inner city high schools and took out the industrial building trade programs. Up until the 70s, you could graduate from high school licensed as a plumber, electrician, carpenter, auto mechanic, woodworker, mason. What happened to those programs? They've all been taken out. The skills that allow you to pay the bills
Mm.
are no longer in the high school. And that's what's given rise to the mass incarceration campaign, the crime wave that we see, the drug epidemic that we have. And on top of that, that's what gave rise to the massive numbers of unemployed black men. It was a systematic move by the government to make the black man economically irrelevant to the Black woman.
We're going to take a quick break.
Sure.
And when we come back, we're going to take a quick break. This is a lot to absorb, a lot to take in. Again, this is Cindy Ashley, host of the Total Faith Show. We will be right back. Do not tune away. We'll be right back. Make us understand, what do we do now for solutions? How do we make this better?
The
Please.
premise of the solution is this.
Come.
And it's something that African Americans don't like to admit.
Please.
We're the only population of Black people on earth who has the economic and intellectual ability to solve their own problems with minimal government intervention. Last year, we spent $2 billion on Air Jordans, $600 million on fast food, $9 billion on perm and weave. Black men spent $2 billion on Air Jordans.
Oh my God.
African Americans purchased twice the amount of Mercedes-Benz as European Americans, although European Americans have twice the wealth of African Americans. And when you look at our Christmas shopping, my goodness, in Philadelphia, we spend $2 billion on Christmas gifts. In New York City, you guys spend at least $4 billion on Christmas gifts. In Los Angeles, about $1.5 billion on Christmas gifts. You take all of this disposable income that we're wasting, we can have our own hospitals, our own schools, our own supermarkets, and our own banks. Those are the 4 cornerstone institutions you got to have in any self-sustaining community. But guess what? There's not an Africa town nowhere in the United States. There's a Chinatown in every city. There's a little Italy in every city. There's a Jewish community in every city. Why is there no Africa town? It's not purely due to racism. It's due to the psychological apathy and lack of concern that we African Americans have about our destiny. And that is an artifact of slavery, because we're the only people in America, the only cultural group who does not care about the collective progress of itself. Number one, we're the only ones. And number two, we're the only cultural group in America who does not care, feels no sense of guilt or shame that our people are on the bottom. When's the last time you seen a homeless Chinese? When's the last time you seen a homeless European Jew? When's the last time you seen a homeless East Indian? You don't. Because although no culture is perfect and everybody has, that aspect of their community that needs to be improved upon, most of these cultures are self-sustaining to a point. Yeah, they get grants and they get government assistance, but at the same time, there is a cultural loyalty and respect that requires them to look out for each other. We don't have that. The African American nation is a nation of radical individuals. Our psyche is our enemy. Our psyche is our enemy. Until you change the way African Americans think about themselves and their future, nothing changes. Because before you can have an economic revolution, political revolution, before you can have a cultural revolution, a family revolution, you got to have a psychological revolution.
Yes. Talk about, how about religion, church, because, we have so many, mega churches. And
it's a double-edged sword. On the one hand, the African American church historically has been our vanguard. All of the progress, all of the laws, when you look at our great slave rebellions, Nat Turner was a priest. Frederick Douglass used to preach for the AME church. You understand? So without the church, we wouldn't be where we are. But the irony and the paradox at the same time is, without the church, we wouldn't still be where we are. So you have a traditional African American church that brought us this far, but then you have a contemporary, parasitic, economic-based church that keeps us where we are because it's not involved in any of the systematic struggles that African American people need. For example, where's the Black church today when it comes to miseducation? Where's the Black church today when it comes to police genocide? Where's the Black church today when it comes to unemployment? Where's the Black church today when it comes to poverty? The Black church is nowhere to be found. There's exceptions to the rule. But when you look at the mega churches and the medium-sized churches, none of them are at the vanguard of any of the major struggles for African Americans.
You hit on so much, and I want to just jump in, and I want to hear you. I don't even want to interrupt you. What about the identity through images? Because my thing is, what I'm focused on is the lack of images that we have, or imagery that we have, especially for our Black girls. That's my thing. Your thing is Black boys. My thing is Black girls. How about the images of the propaganda that mainstream media projects in terms of identification? And I think that has a lot to do with...
Totally.
Please.
Psychologically speaking, images and sound are the two weapons of the subconscious.
Yes.
You understand? I don't care how much you teach a child. You could teach them for 12 years the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Put one image in front of them. And like they say, an image is worth 1,000 words.
Mm-hmm.
An image will condition that mind more than words, because everything stored in our memory is stored as an archetype,
Yeah.
as a symbol, as a picture. So images are actually the language of the soul and the language of the mind. And whoever controls the images controls the people.
Wow.
And when you look in our community, how many positive images of us do you see? And when you look on television and you look at the motion picture, which is a moving image, and you look at the most popular shows for us, the reality shows, they all do what? Show Black women in a very less than respectable light. They show Black men in a very less than respectable light.
Right.
I mean, take Empire, the #1 miniseries in America. And here you have 4 leading Black male actors: Lucius, his son Hakeem, Jamal, and Andre. 4 attractive, successful African-American males, right? And not a single one of them in that show has a positive relationship with a Black woman.
Birdman, over 20 years giving out turkeys and everything to the people.
So you come to the community and give out a few turkeys. You come to the community and give out a few pair of sneakers. You come to the community and you throw a couple parties. And in exchange for some damn turkeys and chickens and some sneakers, you push death and destruction on our children for a living, and we're supposed to be okay with that because you dropped off some clothes and some turkeys. It's not acceptable. Until hip-hop begins to be a blessing for the Black community, hip-hop is an agent of white supremacy.